A few people have asked me my thoughts on the Scott Galloway post about modern dating and men, and here's my thoughts on this. I think the biggest problem with these conversations is how they are framed as though the systems and women are failing men. I think we do this with dating. I think we do this with the male loneliness epidemic. We kind of frame it as though everything is failing men, as opposed to the fact that men are not adapting to kind of modern day life. Women for centuries have had to mold themselves and adapt to the systems that men created to find some sort of success. And now that women are achieving it more than men, we are looking to it and saying we're failing them. We are failing the men. We need to change something. And ultimately, I think what the framing of those things looks like is that we're asking women to change and women to adapt to where men are at, as opposed to asking men to change and adapt to the current systems. And I think this kind of points to the birth rate conversation we were having earlier this week. The economist Claudia Golden cited in certain research that she thinks the birth rate drop is partially to do with the fact that men are not participating in the homes and they haven't adapted to modern day life. Women these days are working full time, taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, and that has changed drastically, right, in the last 50, 60 years. And men have not changed with the times, right? Women are working outside of the home, but men are not participating in a more equitable way inside the home. And so women are opting out of that, which we don't talk about enough, right? We don't talk about how the fact that their inaction or inability to adapt and change is part of the reason these things are happening. And so I think as it pertains to like the male loneliness epidemic or all of these things, you know, women now can get a college education. They can have a job. They can have careers. They can have their own money. They can buy their own house. And so they can achieve all of these things on their own, and they no longer have to attach themselves to men to get those things. And now that that's the case, we're looking at it as though there's some sort of crisis on our hands that we have to address. And I think that's the reason I don't like the framing of it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about the impact on men. I want everybody to be happy, healthy, and thriving, but I also don't think that it should come at the expense of women sacrificing their standards or their wants and their needs. And I think that's the missing part of the conversation.